Hi mathematicians, this is Mr. Almeida. I hope you're doing well today. In this video, we're going to be learning how to fill out ratio tables. And I'll start off by saying that a ratio table is simply a collection of equivalent ratios. And as we've talked about before, to make equivalent ratios, we either multiply or divide all the parts of the ratio by the exact same number, okay? So this is a ratio table. As you can see, it's a collection of equivalent ratios. So we're saying the ratio of the number of apples to the number of oranges, 8 to 14, is equivalent to 12 to what? And we're going to figure out what that number of oranges is. To complete a ratio table, you use either what you know about equivalent ratios, which is to multiply or divide all numbers in a given row. So rows go across and columns go up and down. So we're going to multiply all the given numbers in a row by the exact same number to get equivalent ratios or all the missing numbers in the other rows, okay? So we ask ourselves, can we multiply the number of apples, in this case 8, by a whole number to get to 12? The answer to that question is no. So if you want to see if your work can be a little bit simpler, I bring you to this helpful tip over here to the left, which reads, simplify the ratio if there isn't a whole number you can multiply or divide by. So let's put the ratio of apples to oranges off to the side. Before we do that, let's come up with a symbol for apples. I'll come up with A, and oranges is going to be O. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put A to O off to the side, and I'm going to give a row that's complete. So what number of apples do I know to oranges? 8 to 14. So I write that over here, 8 to 14. And is there a number that can divide both 8 and 14? Yes, there is. That number is 2. So we divide both the 8 and the 14 by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. And is there any other number besides 1 that can divide 4 and 7? No. So therefore, I'm going to put 4 for the number of apples and 7 for the number of oranges, right up here. Essentially, I'm creating a new row, all right? So now I ask, can I multiply or divide 4 by any number to get 12? Yes, I can multiply 4 by 3 to get to 12. So what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply the number in that row, which was 7, by the exact same number going to this second row. So I'll multiply 7 times 3, and that will give me 21. And that's how I figure out missing values in a ratio table. I multiply all the given numbers in a given row by the same number to get the missing numbers. And if you can't multiply from row to row, in this case 8 to 12, from 8 to 12, you can't go from 8 to 12 by using a whole number. You can simplify that ratio and then put the numbers up top and see if that gives you whole numbers to make your work a little bit simpler, okay? All right, so the other way you can figure this out is you can find the relationship, the multiplicative relationship between the quantities of the ratio. So the quantities in this case are the number of apples to the number of oranges. So I want to figure out what can I either multiply or divide the number of apples by to get the number of oranges. And why am I going in this direction? Because I'm missing the number of oranges right here. So whatever you want to get to, that's what you're drawing your arrow towards. So to figure out what I'm going to multiply by, well, first I look at the relationship of the numbers. What's happening to the numbers of apples as they compare to the number of oranges? The number of oranges is bigger than the number of apples. So I'm going to multiply by a fraction that's greater than 1 using the number 8 and 14. What fraction can I make that's greater than 1 using 8 and 14? Well, I have two options. I could either write 8/14 or I could write 14/8. Well, the number is getting bigger, so I'm going to multiply it by a fraction greater than 1, which is 14/8. Is there a simplified version of that fraction that I'm multiplying by 14/8? Yes. Do I have to simplify it? No, but it'll save you time so you don't have to do double-digit multiplication work, okay? So the number that can divide 14 and 8 is 2. So we get 7/4. So anytime I want to find the number of oranges, I'm going to multiply the number of apples by what number? 7/4 to get the number of oranges. Now inversely, if I want to find the number of oranges to get the number of apples, if I want to find the number of apples, I'm going to start with the number of oranges and do what to that number? I'm going to multiply by the fraction that's less than 1. So the fraction that I could make is 8/14 or 4/7. But in this case, I'm trying to find number of oranges, so I'm going to take the number of apples, in this case 12, and multiply it by 7/4. But just to reiterate what I did so you can see the visuals, is I took the number that I wanted to get to, which was 14, and I multiplied it by 14, and then I divide by the number that I start at, which is 8. So really, I'm multiplying by 14/8, okay? Anytime you want to figure out what you're multiplying by, take the number that you want to get to and divide it by the number that you start with. One more time. So I'm going to point this out. Take the number that you want to get to and divide it by the number that you started with. All right. So we're going to take the number 12, and we're going to multiply that by 7/4 to get the number of oranges. So 12 times 7/4. I'll use the product formula right away and extend my fraction line. And what number can divide both 12 and 4? Don't say 3. 4, yes, okay? So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 3 times 7 is 21. 21 divided by 1 is 21, so we get 21. So as you can see, either way you do this, as long as you're using multiplication or division, you can go from row to row, or you can go from column to column, okay, to find out missing values. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and learned how to complete ratio tables. If you need any more assistance with what ratios are, please be sure to watch the video on ratios. If you need help with what equivalent ratios are, please be sure to watch the video on equivalent ratios, all right? I wish you all the best in your mathematical pursuits, and in particular in this topic with ratios. Take care, mathematicians.